Hi there. Right, I've been asked to do a 10-minute revision video on perfect competition in terms of how it adjusts to long-run equilibrium. So before we do that, let's just quick reminder of what do we understand by perfect competition. So by perfect competition, we should understand that this is the perfect refers to the level of price competition in the market. So it's perfectly price competitive. And what that means is that consumers will always buy only on the basis of price. And for that to be true, we need to make certain assumptions. You might want to pause this just to see whether you can write down what the assumptions are. But essentially what we've got is identical products. Otherwise, consumers might be persuaded not to buy the cheapest because of some form of brand loyalty, something like that. We've got many buyers and sellers, so there's always a convenient nearby firm to choose from, so that you don't buy from the closest because the cheaper one is further away. So again, you'll always buy on the basis of price. The market's fully contestable. In other words, there are no barriers to entry or exit. And finally, that consumers are, there's perfect knowledge. Consumers and businesses, for that matter, are perfectly well informed. And the consequence of that is that, as we said before, any increase in price by an individual firm will cause its demand to fall to zero because consumers are aware of identical alternatives that are easily convenient from one of the many other firms that are available. What that means is the demand curve is therefore going to be horizontal, because any increase in price means that demand falls straight to zero. What that also means, or rather, what contestability means, is that there's nothing to stop any new firm from coming into the market, and therefore, if in the short run a firm was making abnormal profit, then all that would happen in the long run is that new firms would come in, would drive down the price, meaning that in the long run the firm would make only normal profit. So when we look to try to understand how a perfectly competitive market adjusts, here's my temporary prop. Then what we've got to understand is that firstly we have an industry market like that. There's supply, which is based on marginal cost. There's demand, and there's the price that's determined. So imagine we're looking at the market for coffee, something like that, and this is the world market for coffee. This is an individual coffee grower, say in the Central African Republic. They can only accept the price that's determined by the market. And what we said is that if they try and increase their individual price, then demand falls to zero. And that's why we've drawn demand as horizontal. We know that if they sell an extra kilo of coffee, then their additional revenue is always the same. And we also know that on average, they're going to get, say, $2 per bag of coffee. So their average revenue is like that. And what we said is that in the long run, we can make only normal profit. There is no possibility that the firm can make abnormal profit. And what that means is that therefore the price that the firm charges, or rather the price that the firm receives, can only just cover its cost. So the firm will be producing here at Q1. That's the output at which MC equals MR. All the units up to that point add more to revenue than they do to cost. But even when the firm is maximising its profits, it can only make normal profit. Average revenue can only just cover average cost. So the question, so this is long run equilibrium. And what all that means is that it's a stable situation until some outside event comes along and changes this equilibrium. Now, one possibility is that there's a sudden increase in popularity for coffee. So as a result of coffee culture and so on, you all willing to pay stupid quantities of money for a cup of coffee. What happens is that the global demand for coffee has increased. In the short run, what therefore happens is that the price of coffee on world markets increases to PT. What that therefore means is that our individual coffee grower in the Central African Republic is quite happy. He's now being paid $3 per bag. His demand has risen to D2, marginal revenue is MR2, and average revenue is AR2. because he's being offered a higher price, he'll want to supply more. We said last year that supply is equal to marginal cost. But again, we can see here that's marginal revenue, that's marginal cost. These additional units between here and here, originally they weren't profitable because marginal cost here was above marginal revenue, but now they are. Marginal revenue is higher than marginal cost. So therefore, the units that previously were unprofitable are now profitable, and the firm will expand their production from Q1 to Q2. So again, that's marginal revenue, that's marginal cost. The firm will want to produce all units where marginal revenue is greater than marginal cost. And that's true for all market structures, so not just in perfect competition. What that means is the firm's revenue is now £3 times, say, 1,000 units, 3,000 quid. So how much profit is the firm making? To know that, we need to know total cost. And to find total cost, we've got to say, well, what's the cost per unit? That's not the marginal cost, because the marginal cost just shows the additional variable costs of the last unit. We need something that includes both fixed and variable costs and shows the average across all of the 1,000 bags of coffee that have been made. That then is saying we're making 1,000 bags. The cost per unit is there. That's the firm's average cost, which is, say, $2.20. So the firm's making 80 cents per bag, 1,000 bags, so that's $800. Looking at another way, we can say that bottom area, 220 times 1,000, is total cost, meaning that this area here is abnormal profit. Now, in the long run, that's going to be very attractive to coffee growers from other countries and other parts of the world. And what's likely to happen is that new growers will start up. They'll say, well, look, this is a profitable business. I'm going to stop making tea. I'm going to stop making other agricultural products. I'm going to shift into the coffee market. So what we have standing on the board at the moment is our short-run equilibrium. In the long run, what starts to happen is that new firms start to enter the market. So industry supply shifts to S2 and price is driven down to P3. And this is going to continue until abnormal profits can no longer be made. So firms will keep on entering essentially until the price has been driven back to its original equilibrium there. So from the firm's point of view, initially it gets to sell more units at a higher price, but eventually new firms enter, the price is driven down, and the firm's supply contracts until it ends back exactly where it started in the first instance. So initially, demand shifts to the right, price is driven up, the firm expands and can make supernormal, abnormal profit. In the long run, the industry expands, so what that means is that industry output actually ends up much higher. The global production of coffee increases twice. But our individual coffee grower in the Central African Republic, having initially received kind of bonus profits, eventually the increased competition from the rest of the world drives prices back down to where they were to start with, and he's back where he started. Next, I'll show you what happens if there was a sudden drop in demand.